Hey everyone, I'm Jessie, and it's about time I share my story. I went through Kelly's Vital Mind Reset program almost 3 years ago, um, and this was after a post-grief and medically induced haze where I found myself stumbling through the aisles of Barnes& Noble and miraculously came across her book. And I remember I was just about to go get my hair done, and I saw this book, and I read it. I read the inside flap and thought, "Oh my gosh, this is what I need right now." I bought it, which I don't usually do, and then got in the car and went to my hair appointment and basically ignored my hairdresser the entire time as I was engrossed and apologizing because I had other more important matters to attend to at the time. It was a really, really hard time for me in that period. I had just lost my sister in a car accident months prior, and my sister is my heart. We're very close, and it was a huge trauma in my life. And this was 2 weeks after coming out of a postpartum depression that lasted close to a year, and just a few years away from watching my father die to cancer. So you might think that my diagnoses are the culmination of these traumas, and that would at least make sense. But it started way before any of this. So whatever I had felt inside up until this point just really magnified. I'd say my OCD started when I was 5, but if I could give you the list of my full credentials, I've been diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, depression, bipolar type 2, borderline personality disorder, likely complicated grief, and I'm probably missing some in there. And I've been on an SSRI. I had been on an SSRI for about 10 years. And my most recent experience of my sister dying sent me to my psych's office, practically begging for a bigger diagnosis that could encompass the grief that I was experiencing and the total loss of everything that I knew in life. And she did give me a bigger diagnosis and more medication, and I walked out with about 5 prescriptions that I started and was on for a good month, along with ways that I was self-medicating through alcohol, and still on my SSRI. So to say that I was in a haze in that time is really pretty accurate. And I really remember just coming to a point where I was laying in bed one night and I could feel the muscles in my body spasming, and I knew it was a side effect of all of the medication that I was on. I felt fuzzy through my days. I wanted to at that point, but I just knew that where I was going was not sustainable. It was not going to lead me to life. It was not going to help me be the mother that I wanted to be to my son, or the wife to my husband, or the person that I knew who I was. So I knew that I was greatly covering up my pain, and that it was time to do something different, but I didn't know what that looked like. So I basically continued on until I found Kelly's book. I think it was actually right before that I started intuitively stepping back a little bit from some medications, which I would definitely advise doing under a protocol such as Kelly's. But I had started weaning off of some, but not fully until I read her book and I understood more greatly where my disorders had come from, because that was really scary for me. It makes a lot of sense to feel a certain way when something really bad happens in your life, but to not know why you feel the way that you do for your whole life and just think that there's some imbalance in your brain that you just can't do anything about. It's disempowering, it's scary, and that's what I lived for a really long time until I learned something different, until I learned something new. And I was hungry at that time to follow something different, because like I said, I knew that where I was heading at that point was only leading to my demise, and I wanted more for myself. And so I started through Kelly's program, and I went through it with my husband, and we both really changed the way that we ate for a month, and I did all the works. And I came off of all 5 of my medications, and the SSRI was a slower taper, something I thought I was going to be on for the rest of my life. It was before any significant traumas happened in my life, that I was in the psych ward 2 years even before my dad died. And I remember talking to a night nurse, and him just saying, this is just what you have to do. You just have to take your medication. Just make sure you keep taking your medication. You have to be on it for the rest of your life. And it's like, I know, you're right. I just have to do this. I can't keep getting off. And so I was very much in a different mindset years prior, and never thought I'd be where I am today off of everything, off of all my medications, and thriving in my life. I used to thrive in survival, just a constant. I was really, really good at surviving, constantly good at surviving. So good that I was thriving in my surviving, and it's just not where I am now. A new light is beckoning in my life, and it has, and my heart is to be a beacon for other people and other women, to show them, to mirror for them the power that we have inside of us. And so while it's really important for me to share with you some of my story and some pain, because it helps to relate, to know that somebody has been in a really, really dark places in their lives, and to see that they've come out of that into something greater, inspires hope and inspires possibility and potential. And it's so important, but it's more important to really know that you are here for a purpose, that you are magnificent. And my hope is that you will come to viscerally know this, to embody this belief. Try it on if it feels weird at first, but keep it around and let it have its way with you, because you won't complete this process. You won't go through anything that's going to really challenge you in the way that waking up from years of psychiatric illness does, if you don't believe in yourself. So my hope for you is that you'll really come to know that you can do this, and to know that you really can't crumble. And I know, we do crumble. I've lived this, but I can assure you that when we are solid in who we are, that the only thing that can really crumble is the stuff surrounding us, our emotions, our realities as we know them, our personalities or identities, and still none of this is actually who we are. There are experiences, and experience can crumble, but we cannot. You were never the ashes. You were always the phoenix. May you rise with us.